Anyway, okay, reverting to your thought about the fact that the traditional politicians have failed to deliver, one of the key things you say is that they are neglecting basic civil rights of people in Germany. What do you mean by that?
Well, for example, if we have a look at the right to demonstrate, we have seen over the last 20 years very serious restrictions to this right. For example, in Baden-Württemberg, it would be illegal to gather with more than 3 people on a public place if we take the law by the words it is written. This is a problem because it, for example, does not allow for spontaneous demonstrations. There are a set of restrictions, but
you're also opposed to surveillance, aren't you? You think there's been too much surveillance in Germany. But don't you need that?
You need a certain amount of surveillance. If you have too much, there is no gain in security. You won't restrict a single crime, but people are going to feel insecure. People who are under surveillance act differently.
But, you know, when you see how recently in eastern Germany that the authorities uncovered a cell, a neo-Nazi cell, which was responsible for 10 deaths, they believe, 8 Turkish immigrants, 1 Greek and 1 police officer, in fact. And the German people are outraged that this should have gone undetected. That simple case alone would suggest that there isn't enough surveillance going on in Germany.
Well, this group has been known to the intelligence agencies 10 years ago. They actually found explosives with this group. They know that there was a group killing people and they did nothing to stop them. So more surveillance wouldn't have changed anything.
Well, I'll give you another example then. For instance, there was a German Afghan, Ahmed Wali Siddiqui. That kind of person ought to be under surveillance, shouldn't they? And he was, and he's been charged with being a member of Al-Qaeda.
And if I remember correctly, I'm not quite sure, but I believe that I remember correctly, he was found without, for example, the uses of data retention policies, which shows that we don't need data retention.
So you honestly think that, given these 2 cases that I've just given you, that you could say to the German people, we don't think that we need surveillance, when you've got academic studies in Germany saying that they think there may be as many as 5,600 neo-Nazi extremists who do pose a violent threat to society?
I'm not saying that we don't need any surveillance. I'm saying that we need only the surveillance that really shows an increase in security. For example, if you have a look at CCTV installations, there has been large studies showing that CCTV installations in living areas do not show any decrease in the criminal level or in the crime level in those areas. They show an effect in parking places. Okay, then we use them there, but we don't need them in living areas because they show no effect.
The fact is, you don't really know, do you, when the German Federal Domestic Intelligence Agency says, as I said, that there are 5,600 extremists who pose a threat to society, you don't really know the extent of the surveillance that is needed to ensure that they don't commit acts of violence, do you? You're just saying this because you think that it's a good thing to say.
No. The fact that the federal agencies know about these people shows that the amount of surveillance we have in Germany is more than enough. The fact that studies made over the last years showing that additional surveillance that was installed in the last year since 9/11 showed no decrease whatsoever in the crime levels in Germany, shows that those surveillance methods are useless.
All right, you've talked about the need for greater transparency and you're against surveillance and so on. If I asked you about the 14,000 members of the Pirate Party, you've been in existence since 2006, do you know if you have any members of neo-Nazi groups amongst that 14,000?
Well, we have 2 people I know that have been members of the National Democratic Party.
Which is a far-right party that some
Yes.
people want banned because they believe it is essentially a neo-Nazi party.
It's a very right extremistic party, yes. And I believe that people can change. Somebody who was a member of...
I should just say, because those two members were Valentin Sept was a district chairman in Bavaria, Matthias Barner was a member of the state executive in Mecklenburg. I have to tell you, though, this, Sebastian Nerz, that when this came up and these two cases were cited to you, you said not every member of the National Democratic Party is a neo-Nazi. If someone was a thug or an official in the NPD, that is more serious.
Yes.
Do you still stand by that not everybody in the National Democratic Party is a neo-Nazi?
I said that there are some young people who enter the National Democratic Party without really knowing what the NPD is up to. And most of them leave the party after, for example, 1 month or 2 months after realizing what kind of mud they got into.
So youthful indiscretion, you think?
Oh, sorry?
Youthful, they didn't quite understand because they were too young to appreciate what they
Yes.
were joining.
Yes.
But you represent young people. Most of your members are young. Don't they know what they're doing?
I think that, for example, a 16-year-old
He was 18.
or an 18-year-old may make mistakes. If he then, after 2
So
years...
maybe the young people in your party, are they making mistakes? I told you about Susanna Graf, who's 19. Is she perhaps making mistakes about what she says?
Everybody is making mistakes. That's just human behavior. No, the problem is that the NPD has been one of the most active party with the
In recruiting young
yes.
people.
Yes.
But you know, it does sound that you, as the leader of the German Pirate Party, are taking a bit of a relaxed view about this issue of neo-Nazi membership and these two cases. Well, I tell you that political analyst Jürgen Falter has said, given Germany's history, this kind of approach could open the Pirate Party up to criticism. It is well advised to clean up the problem, otherwise you will suffer heavily from this. That's what he thinks, and other people have said that.
Well, for example, with Matthias Barner, he has been asked to give up his seat in the communal parliament because he has been a member of the NPD. The problem is that the laws do not allow us to force him to give up his seat. He's free in his choosing.
But you understand what Jürgen Falter says, you've got to
Yes, of
clean up
course.
this problem.
Yes.
But are you really doing it? Because I give you another example that one member of the Pirate Party, Bodo Thyssen, cites Holocaust deniers on internet forums, and he himself voices doubts, and he should have been expelled, but the process has dragged on for 2 years. A bit laissez-faire, and some members of your own party, like Wolfgang Duda, are very, very angry. They're totally appalled that this process to eject him has taken so long. What do you say?
The problem has been that when the Pirate Party was founded, we have been very naive. The way the internal courts of the party are working, for example, if they are expelling someone from the party, and the order we chose is not working.
So are you sorting this out? You're sorting out this problem, are you?
We have sorted
Okay.
out this,
All right.
this problem on the last federal convent, and now I believe the expellation of Bodo Thyssen from the party will be ended in this year.
So you will throw him out?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you say that the traditional parties have failed to give solutions to the problems. The economic crisis, of course, is uppermost in people's minds. One big idea you have is free, unlimited access to public transport for people. Have you worked out how expensive that's going to be and who's going to pay for it?
Yes, the Pirate Party in Berlin has worked out how many each household in Berlin would have to pay. It would have been paid by a tax on households and
Do they have to
on
pay
hotels.
extra? People
Yes.
have to pay extra?
Yes, of course.
And you can
Nothing-
honestly go and say to people when they're all feeling the pinch at the moment, you need to pay more taxes?
Well, quite a number of people are already using the public transports in Berlin, and especially the poor people are using the public transports, but they are paying more than they would be paying if everybody would be participating.
But do you know what Berlin's state debt is?
It's roughly 64 billion, yes.
That's right, 64 billion euros, about $84 billion. because Andreas Baum, one of your candidates, one of
Yes.
your members, when he was asked this, says, oh, it's many, many millions. It's actually billions, isn't it? I'm glad you got the figure right. But do you think you offer a new way, a new vision when it comes to solving the financial crisis or the euro crisis? Angela Merkel has said this is the biggest challenge to Europe since the Second World War.
Yeah, well, Angela Merkel is always citing things as the most challenging problem that we've so far encountered. It's a way of doing politics, because she, quite often, she does not propose a solution. She's just
What's your
waiting.
solution then?
We
What's
don't
your
have a
different way?
solution.
You don't have a solution?
No.
You don't have a
but
solution to the biggest question that people are talking about at the moment, and yet you say you want to be
It's the
taken
question.
seriously.
Yes. It's a question of the moment. It won't be a question anymore in 3 years, or perhaps not in 2 years.
So you're just a protest movement, really?
No. We are about changing the way politics are working. And of course, we will have to answer questions like, for example, how could you solve the euro crisis in 2013?
How would you change in policy? People said that about the Green Party, and then we saw, of course, they became part of the political establishment. Joschka Fischer became foreign minister, and he said, look, solutions need compromises. You're now in the state parliament in Berlin. You're also going to go mainstream, aren't you, and make compromises?
I think it's about talking to the people, about letting the people participate in politics. It's not only about some members of parliament deciding what's right. They have to talk to the people in order to get to solutions.
And how? What, have a referendum, have discussions on the internet, have town hall meetings? How?
Yes, all of this. A referendum is the hardest yes/no question you can ask. It's the end of a political process, but you have to let the people participate during the process. For example,
so what, they help devise policies, that kind
Yes.
of thing? But there are consultation processes at the moment that all governments have when they come to
No.
drafting new legislation?
No, not really. There are some, I don't know how to call them, some groups who talk to people, who let people write on
So
message
you want more
boards.
direct communication between the people and politicians?
Yes, and with the politicians, and not with their public relation teams.
So that's your big idea. In 30 seconds, what is it? Tell us.
I believe we have to change the way politics are working to a more open style of politics, to a transparent style of politics, to let people participate, and we have to establish a society in which people can really live in freedom and live their private life however they seem fit.
You're going to go nationwide when we have elections 2 years in Germany. You're going to be a big party?
Yes.
Sebastian Nerz, leader of Germany's Pirate Party. Thank you very much for coming on Hard Talk.
Thank you.